All right, all right. Happy Saturday afternoon. Of course, we got our coffee still going this afternoon because best dog dads, you guys work so hard out there. You put in the time. You gotta have your coffee because raising these babies ain't easy. So cheers to all you dog dads out there. And let's get back into the action and pick up where we left off in the last episode. This unhappy looking potentially dog-like creature is attacking us in the dungeon. So just a quick summary. We'll do the quick synopsis, what happened and where we're at. So we're making progress in the glacial burrower's domain towards finding his room. We have ticked down the layer and tension dies. So things are getting more and more towards growing darkness events, but we're also getting closer and closer to his finding his location in the domain. So we've gone through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're in our 6th room. We stumbled into a room with a very buffed up Rotwalker who is more aware than normal. Honestly helps him out because his base awareness is quite low. It's at a 20 out of 100, so he's at a 30 with the plus 10 buff. But we also were going to be receiving extra experience points because of that. So that was a really fun mechanic that the new zines introduced. And we'll get 10 extra XP for defeating this Rotwalker. Now, what is a Rotwalker? We kind of went over the description in the last video, so I'm going to save the flavor text on that if you want to go back and listen to, again, what at the end of last episode a Rotwalker is. But basically, I've never fought one before. He's an undead type creature. His soft spot is in his head, so we can try and purposefully target his head by taking a decrease in our combat skill check, or we might get lucky on an attack and roll either a 19 or 20 on hit location. And if we hit the head, that's his critical point of weakness. Again, his awareness is quite low at 20, so I'm hoping that we get to go first when we walk into the room and get initiative when we roll for initiative. Other things, combat skills at 30 is a little bit on the lower side, so we like that. Magic resistance 40, so Rotwalkers are quite good at resisting magic type damage. Again, being a melee character here, we're really happy to see lower combat skill than magic resistance. When Xilia wins, she will roll in the spoils table. Now the traits are undead and frightening. Frightening means at the start of our turn, once per turn, we roll a resolve check. If we fail that, we take 1 hit to our sanity. So currently, luckily, Xilia's sanity is at a 11 out of 12. So we're quite, we're chilling on sanity, but that's what these frightening creatures will do to you. So basically, the longer you hang out in a room with them, the more your sanity is lost. The undead type, luckily at this point, doesn't bother us too much because undead means they are resistant, immune to charm and poison and disease type damage, none of which we are trying to do at this point with our melee fighting. Restored by necrotic damage, we don't have any sort of weapons or skills that deal necrotic damage. And if we had holy damage, though, an undead creature would be vulnerable to holy damage, taking extra damage from that. But at this point, we do not have any holy spells. So we're just doing a fair fight with this Rotwalker, who is slightly more aware and gives us slightly more XP. I'm not going to go ahead and read yet what the attacks are, although I do see physical attack for the first type, and then we'll learn a little bit more about what's going on together if they roll d6 to get the Festering Aura and Deathly Embrace, what kind of attacks those are. So I don't want to spoil the surprise in battle ahead of time. So let's learn what fighting a Rotwalker feels like. I've gone ahead and filled out our combat sheet ahead of time. So our first step will be to check for who gets initiative. And let's go ahead and roll. We will be at a 50 because we're eagle-eyed. We have quite a solid 50-50 chance on rolling under our skill check here. And with their buffed up awareness, they're at a 30. So let's go ahead and get the old dice rolling for the morning or afternoon or whatever time it is for you all out there. So again, we are the red, and our enemy takes the metallic dice. I think I'm going to pick up some new, I'm going to go shopping for some new D20 or whatever you call these, the dungeon dice, to get like a colorful one for the enemies that are a little bit clearer on video. The metal ones do feel really nice. They have a nice weight to them, but even I kind of struggle to read them. I like the clear, dice on labeling for the other ones. So let's give them a nice truffle shuffle, as one of my favorite channels says, meet me at the table. So 86 for us is not great, and he did roll a double zero triple. Whoa, so that's a 10 and I guess 0 0. So he rolled a 10. So he gets initiative. Dang. I'm trying to think, is this a fumble though? Is that like a critical, or is that like a critical hit because he rolled a 10 and a 10? Potentially. Let me just double check on what's nice is the zine. I'm trying to think, would that count as a critical? So these are the creature modifiers, and then there was like the creature fumbles and creature defensive moves. So we'll want this table pulled up. I'm pretty sure basically we failed and he, passed. We'll just leave it as a normal thing. He may have gotten surprise on us, which would have given him even more. Let me think. Would that be a double? Would that be rolling doubles? So a 10 and a 0. I think so. So maybe we'll give him surprise, actually. Surprise would mean he would get an additional plus 20 to his first attack. I mean, I feel like that's fair. Fair is fair. Let's give this Rotwalker, he was very aware. That's kind of also in line with his buffed up bonus of being very aware that he is going to surprise us. So that surprise means not only does he get the plus 10 for being the attacker on his first roll, for every roll the attacker gets plus 10, but on his first roll he'll get plus 20. So his combat skill jumps from a 30 to a 40 to a 60 on this first roll. And we'll be defending with our Pilum, which combat skill is a 60 plus 10 with Weapon Master. So we'll be at a 70 to his 60. Let's go ahead and see how that goes. Oh, and sorry, first we're going to actually see if we're even using physical attack. This is what I messed up last time. So this is where we first stop and roll a d6, number 6. So this may not even be a physical attack. So d6 is the Deathly Embrace. The Rotwalker will lunge at the target, at Xilia, attempting to pull them into a ghastly embrace. The target must succeed on an athletics check or be grappled, becoming entangled. While grappled, the target takes ongoing d4 necrotic damage at the start of each of their turns until they break free or the Rotwalker is destroyed. Oh my god. Now I think my athletics skills have the one that took a hit. No, athletics is a 40. It was acrobatics that took 2 hits, one from being damaged nerve on our flaws and merits chart when rolling up our character, and another one is from, I think, varying our Van Brace is -5. So -10 was from being the damaged nerve, and -5 is from wearing a Van Brace. But that's on acrobatics. Luckily, we're doing an athletics check, which has us at 40. So we really are hoping to roll 40 or less here. So let's see what happens. So 15, we did it. So even if hypothetically, I don't know that surprise would modify our skill check, but he had the element of surprise. I don't really know that that modifier is a negative towards us so much as it would have been a positive towards him. So we were able to thematically, the Rotwalker was lunging at us and he tried to take a big leap, and Xilia, just in the nick of time, pushes off and makes a leap towards this door, and the Rotwalker stumbles, looking ominously back at Xilia as she now gears up to make her attack. So we're going to be rolling our opposing D100 skill check. We are going for the bash. I think we want to kill him ASAP. I don't really care to be defensive in this battle. I really want to just kill him. I can see already things like entangled and D4 ongoing necrotic damage from the Deathly Embrace could really be bad for us. So we're going to be rolling to try and bash this guy. So let's first check our 70 combat skill versus his. Well, we get plus 10 on top of that, so we're at 80 versus his 30. Oh, we rolled over at 93. And he rolled over at 38, so he does not get a defensive maneuver. Okay. So also the other thing I just remembered, we had to pass a resolve check. So now our resolve is quite low at 10, or we're taking 1 hit to our sanity. This is because he is, we're going to assume we'll fail quite a few of these. So just being in the room with this guy, Xilia, her fragile mind is starting to break, and she takes 1 hit down to 10 out of 12 sanity. Okay, so back to the Rotwalker's turn. He's going to roll for what he does. He's doing a physical attack of 2. Number 2 is the Grasping Claw. Physical, the Rotwalker extends its decaying arm, attempting to grasp a target with its skeletal hand, dealing D4 necrotic damage on hit. Additionally, the target must succeed a dodge check or become entangled as the Rotwalker's grip tightens. Now, entangled, let's go ahead and remind ourselves what that is. It is a condition, so we're going to go to the conditions chart. So entangled. The afflicted is wrapped in something that restricts their movement. They're incapable of moving, and any actions that imply movement will suffer an ongoing -20 penalty. On their turn, the entangled character may attempt an athletics check in order to remove the condition. This is considered a free action, but the character can choose to spend a standard action instead to receive a +20 to their athletics check. What a cool mechanic. So let's just not get entangled here. So he's trying to do this physical attack, and the reason we roll that up is so we now know that we're checking his combat score versus our combat score. He gets the +10 modifier, so 30 plus 10. He's at 40, and we're at 70. So 40 for him, 70 for us. We pass at 28. He fails at 70. So since we passed, we get to roll a d10 of what we got on a defensive maneuver. And I was just confirming that is a d10. So we get number 3. So we are getting a bonus here in combat of a defensive maneuver of number 3. Your opponent receives the bleeding 1 condition. So we'll narrate this, but a bleeding character receives an amount of damage determined by the effect's intensity until the condition is removed. This is a cumulative condition, so while initially it seems harmless, you must treat the damage received as a damage roll. So if the bleeding damage is 3, that means the victim suffers 1 damage per the damage dealt table. It can slowly become a real threat. So this is really fun. So his current bleeding, it's per round, receives amount until the condition is removed. So bleeding 1 would mean each round he's suffering 1 more cumulative damage on the damage rolled table. And so currently, again, if we go back to our damage dealt table, a 1 won't be dealing any damage, but he is bleeding currently. So I was supposed to put the traits up here, and I'll just put that he's bleeding. He's currently at a 1. So this will start to stack up damage on him if we don't kill him first, which is really nice. So to narrate that, he tried to do his physical attack, and as he took a swipe at Xilia, Xilia sidesteps and manages to quickly slash his arm, and he begins bleeding, and now we're in this sort of position as Xilia gears up to hopefully deal some damage here. So let's go ahead and roll Xilia at an 80 against combat skill of 30 for the Rotwalker. Again, bashing. Wow, we are so bad at rolling today, Xilia. So 99 is a critical fumble. He rolls a 39, so he does fail, but we very much so fail. So we're going to be fumbling on this table. So not good, Xilia. We're not loving this. So D10 for fumble. She's doing much better defensively than offensively. So she fumbles. You hurl your weapon with such strength that it gets stuck very deep in a wall or ground. As a standard action, you must perform a successful athletics check to retrieve it. If you're not wielding a weapon, your next attack will suffer -20. So this weapon is no longer in her hands. If there was a way to detach this, like in the Oathsworn minis, that would be cool. But basically, this is stuck in the door. Let's just say it's stuck in the freaking door. She took a wild swing, and somehow it's lodged in the door frame, the wood of the door maybe. And Xilia is really struggling to wake up and do battle here. So her options are either she can fight without a weapon, which is really bad because if you're not wielding a weapon, your next attack will suffer -20. But we really want to spend a standard action to get our weapon back. For our next turn, we're going to be trying to just retrieve our weapon. So what an interesting narrative battle that's already commenced. Xilia's over here stuck against this Rotwalker. She's really fumbling her fights. One cool thing that I reminded myself is anytime you roll doubles on... So part of leveling up that's really fun is rolling doubles in any sense. Whether you fail or don't fail, you get a chance to, at a campsite, work on increasing that particular skill. So what just happened was she fumbled, and it wasn't in a good way. But because of that fumble, here's my pencil. Because of that fumble, she's actually going to be putting a tick mark next to her shafted weapon skills. So we're going to put this as just level up. So she has 1 tick mark next to her shafted weapon skills. And this was something I missed initially that I really wanted to get going. So improving on doubles, page 60. We can take a quick break here to talk about that mechanic because it is an important one. It's regardless of XP, you get these chances to level up skills based on rolling doubles. So skill improvement. Each time you roll doubles when making a skill check, so that's going to be of any skill, if I roll doubles, you can mark that skill for improvement, regardless of whether the check itself was a success or not. So obviously I critically fumbled. An improvement check can then be done while resting at your camp. In order to make a skill improvement check, you must roll a D100 above the skill score. A success would then mean that that skill can be increased by D4. Rolling below would mean you just bump it by 1, up to a maximum of 80. So skill scores can also be increased or decreased as a consequence of certain events and items that you might find during your journey, like we noticed with the scavenging. So what would be really nice is to get that scavenging bumped up a little bit higher from its base that dropped. But in the meantime, we can keep upping our shafted weapon score, hopefully. So we're already basically guaranteed 1 bump on this currently, from 70 to 71. But if we get lucky on the cam check, we could go all the way up to a D4, so we could go up to like 74. Somewhere between 71 to 74 is what we just got on that. So that was kind of the upside to that. So let's get back to battle. What is the Rotwalker trying to do? Number 1, I believe that's his physical attack again. So let's go back to our Rotwalker table. And he is indeed working against us with the Grasping Claw physical attack again, trying to do D4 necrotic damage on hit and having us dodge or get entangled. So he's attacking with a plus 10 bonus of 40, and I'm defending. Now, ooh, interesting. Do I have the weapon to defend with? Thematically, no. So my combat skill, in a sense, may just be unarmed, which would be terrible. Hold on. How do I want to go about this? Oh, shoot. You know, and I think I also forgot, before we resolve that, I think I forgot to roll a sanity check on him being the horrifying creature that he is, and I failed that, so I take another point of damage to my sanity down to, I was at 11, now I should be at 10. Oh, that's Aether, sorry. That should be maxed. And so my sanity is at 10, so I go down to 9. We just have to land a hit and murder this guy. In bleeding, him bleeding out is actually really helpful here. So let me think. So thematically, we don't have access to defend with our Pylum. I think I'm honestly unarmed combat fist weapons. So as her sword is stuck here, she's trying to use her other hand to fend off this attack. And she's at a 20. He's coming in at a 30 plus 10, 40. Oh my God. So he's at 37. He passed. Oh, sorry. I'm at 37. He's at 93. Okay. So luckily we don't take. So we both fail. I normally would have gotten a defensive maneuver here if I had access to blocking with my shafted weapon higher skill. But because I was unarmed, I just don't get to roll a defensive table. And him being at 93 means he whiffs. So we'll take that because we had to spend now a standard action to attempt I believe it was an athletics check to remove this Pylum weapon from the door frame. So it was under the critical fumbles. We rolled the 3. So we rolled the one that said, where'd it go? Fumbles? Didn't I? Belt check, you drop your weapon. Stuck in a wall. Yeah, so it must have been the 2. I thought I rolled a 3, but either way, this is what we went with. So we're doing an athletics check to retrieve it. So we're doing number 40, or we're doing a skill check of 40 as a standard action. Oh my God, you must perform a successful athletics check to retrieve it. If you are not wielding a weapon, your next attack suffers minus 20. I mean, there's one other option here, and I think that would be to allow that weapon to stay stuck there and pick up, but I think it costs an action point to equip another weapon. We do have a bladed weapon, I believe, and man, it just would be, oh no, I sold all my other weapons. Dang, this is our only choice. Okay, so first let's make the sanity skill check. We got to roll under, we rolled a 59. We did not pass the resolve for his frightening trait, so we take another hit to our sanity. Our sanity is down to 8. We're quickly drifting into insanity. It's getting scary. We're trying our best here to just remove this weapon from the wall. Come on, Xilia. 41. Oh my god, dude. Oh my god. You must perform as a standard action. I think we're going to push, so we're going to use exhaustion here. This is where exhaustion is an important part of combat. We're going to push ourselves. So Xilia is going to take 5 hits of exhaustion, and she's going to go to 5. Now, there is a table on exhaustion that's really important because you can't push exhaustion too much. It's on page 78. So let's look at the effects together I don't think I want to go much above 10. So 0 to 10, no effects, some heavy breathing and sweating. 11 to 15, you heal half the amount of toughness from all sources. And then 16 to 20, you have disadvantage on athletics, dodge, endurance, and combat. And then 21 more, you die. Your body is no longer capable of enduring the stress and fatigue. Now remember, at camp, we heal 10 exhaustion. And we also get exhaustion by doing camping activities. But right here, I really need Xilia to pull this off. We have to reroll. I'm gaining 5 exhaustion. Come on, Xilia. 58. Good Lord. Good Lord. She's at 5 exhaustion already. I mean, I'm going to push it. I don't know specifically if I'm allowed to do it more than once per round, but I do think that I'm going to push it to 10. Come on. Keep trying. 21. Okay. Phew. Xilia has been tugging, exhausting herself, which, by the way, she is now at 10 exhaustion. Jeez. And she manages desperately to yoink her, yoink, is that the dramatic narrative word? Her sword, her pylum out of the wall. But this costed her entire turn, got her 10 points of exhaustion, but at least on the next round, she's ready to go. All right, what does the Rotwalker want to do? He wants to attack us physically again. I'll take physical attacks all day because now we have our weapon back, so we're rolling quite well. So we're rolling his plus 10, so 40 against 70. We pass at a 51. He fails at 56, so we get to roll a defensive maneuver. 10. I'm pretty sure that's going to be a very good defensive maneuver. So let's take a look at the defensive maneuver chart. And a 10 should be very, very good for us. 10. Your next attack does not suffer the usual minus 30 modifier to targeting a specific body part. If it's a monster NPC, they would be obligated to hit our weak spot. So we're going straight for the head. So Xilia is tired of this bullshit. She gears up and she stands right square in front of this Rotwalker. And she is tired and exhausted. And she says, you know what? It is time to rock and roll, baby. So we're targeting the head for a critical hit. Because she defended so well, she does not have to spend the minus 30 that normally you have to target a weak spot or any spot on the body. So we're rolling at our normal plus 10 modifier plus our base of 70. So 80 against his 30 to target his head. Come on, baby, for a critical hit. 22, that's a critical success. He would have to do a critical block to block it, and he does not. He fails, so we're actually critting times 2, and that's very interesting. I think he's just dead. So first of all, we're going to take another point next to shafted weapons. We are bashing him here, and I think he's just going to die because even if we do one critical, let's say, that's a d6 plus d4 times 2. And so the first time we even do this, we're getting 10, 11. We're already dealing 4 damage. Also, notably, he was supposed to be taking bleeding damage throughout these rounds, which would have been like another point of damage. So Xilia just murders him. She shoves this straight up his freaking mouth, goes up his brain. The spear or the pylum goes through his head, and she is panting and breathing heavily and is just so exhausted but thrilled and full of adrenaline. The rush that comes from toppling this Rotwalker, this buffed up Rotwalker, which thankfully is giving us all kinds of goodies because on top of extra XP, we are going to get lots of spoils. So let us play the Final Fantasy victory music of battle and start getting to work on some fun stuff. So, the 10 exhaustion was rough, But we are going to be gaining the plus 10 XP, so 60 more XP. So we go to 490. We are going to regain D4 toughness, which, well, that'll be helpful. We're at 12. So yeah, we'll go fully healed on toughness. We're at 14 out of 14. And our sanity is not looking great. I need to figure out ways to deal with that at some point. We dealt piercing damage, so we dealt tons of piercing damage. So 32 plus, you know, at least the 4 more points. So we'll give 36. We killed him. And what else do we get? So let's look at our spoils table for what we're getting. Because here we go, here's the combat loop. We won, we get the XP, we regain toughness. We did not use any armor. We thankfully didn't get any damage, so armor was not used. If it's the Overseer, I gotta clarify this. Overseer, we regain sanity, but I guess with other baddies we don't. If Overseer, or maybe we do. I should double check that if we're regaining sanity per battle. That would be, I think at this point, especially because we're fighting these guys, it's like, man, they're draining our sanity, so I hope that it's, I may have to get to roll twice if so. So those are the creatures. Let's just look on combat, leveling up, combat. Let's see what happens on healing and death, critical strike, integrity, targeting body parts, armor, slashing. You know, I'm not sure where the rules were on regaining. I know we regain toughness after a fight. I will have to come back to looking up the situation on sanity, because that's actually super important. Leveling up. Here we go. Well, that's on leveling up. Not sure. Would be very nice to know. This flowchart, unfortunately, isn't super specific on, I think, whether that's just with the Overseers or if that were something that is even for all the baddies, which would be actually, I think, very useful. So I'm going to clarify that off the camera since I've spent enough time looking, and I'll just remember that hopefully we can get some sanity back. And in the meantime, let's roll what we get on the spoils table. So we did end up getting some spoils today again. So spoils on 196. Here we go. And you'll recall this chart is the D6 roll. We got really lucky last time. Let's see what we get. A 5. That's 1 under. Okay, so valuable items table. So that's a D20 roll. So let's see what we can get off of valuable items table. And that is a 7. So valuable items on a 7 is an attunement crystal. Okay, cool. I mean, I would love to see what a fragment is, but an attunement crystal is also, we do have, I think, 2 of them currently, so I'll definitely always take a third. So yes, we're at 2 because we spent 1 previously for our magical belt, but we're at 3 now. And, sort of points of things I'd like to do is work on clearing up exhaustion, so camping soon. I think her sanity needs help, and I'm going to clarify if I get to regain any sanity at some point. But in the meantime, we're going to be moving forward in the dungeon. Let me just see if I wanted to check if one of these flowcharts was helpful for encounter. Recover D10 or D10 toughness? Oh, that's for taking a breather. Taking a breather gives you -2 exhaustion, +1 health. That could be, but it does decrease light source by quite a bit. Encounter defeated. So this one is saying encounter defeated is D4 toughness, and so it doesn't say anything about sanity on this one. So I think that is unfortunately the case that I was thinking, is that may just be for Overseer battles potentially. Tracked the kills for our goal. We did that. Oh, we get to scavenge this room too. So we're rolling at a 20 for scavenging. So let's see what we get for a D32. Close. But we have scavenged this room unsuccessfully with the Rotwalker, and it's time to work on the door ahead. So let's see if we can kind of populate the next room. Scavenger's out of here. He is toast, and we have the next door that Xilia would like to go through, and she's, approaching the door now. And we could also optionally at this point begin our rest step, but I don't feel if we do encounter another battle in the next room, I don't feel too worried that it's going to be terrible for us. So let's use this flowchart here just to remind ourselves. So we're rolling to see if this door is closed, and that'll be for on a D20 check, 12 or more, it'll be locked. That is a 9. So luckily that door is wide open. So we're going to make note that this door is open. Now we're checking if it's trapped. That's going to be a D12. And on a 7 or more, it is trapped. Oh, yeah, I think that's right. 6. So it's not trapped as we were attempting to open it because she's going to be bashing this door down. So her attempt was to bash the door down. Luckily, it wasn't trapped, so we don't need to worry about rolling for perception and all that. So she proceeds to work on the athletics check for bashing this down. And her athletics is a 40, as we know. We don't need to double check. We've been rolling that recently. And so for a 40, she just has to roll. She will be rolling the tension die. But let's just see if she can get 40 or under. She does not. She will definitely be rolling our tension die, which is currently set at, I don't know why half the papers are turned upside down. Sorry, that's annoying. I think I messed something up here with my paperwork. All right, eventually I will, excuse me, not be such a clumsy professor here with all my papers. So tension dies at a D6. Okay, so if you recall, we are rolling D6, and once it gets to D4 and we roll a 1 or 2, we're going to get a bad event. Excuse me, on the growing darkness table. And we are at a D6 to try and find our bad guy, the glacial burrower. So D6 is all day. So tension die is getting rolled. Okay, we passed that. We'll have to roll it again here in a second, though. So now we're rolling to break down the door once again. Xilia is struggling with the door. She gets plus 20 to this check, so she's at 60. Oh, she fails again, 85. Oh. Tension die has dropped to a D4. Now she gets plus 20 again. She's rolling at 80 or under. Okay, there she passes. But now we're rolling a D4 for tension. This is scary. 1. There it is. All right, tension has been met. What is the growing darkness event? So this is the first time we're getting to see this together in this domain. I did get one on in the opener level, the intro level. Growing darkness 106. Pray for Xilia in the glacial burrower's domain. We need prayers. Send prayers. 106. Here we go. D100, baby. So this guy and this guy got an 18. Don't know if higher or lower is better. We're about to find out. 18 looks like your hands are shaking too much. Reduce your camp check roll. Camp check rolls are -1. Our hands are shaking. So growing darkness event. This stays permanent. So we got 18. Camp. If I can spell, check. -1. Okay, and I believe that would reset our tension back to D8. So I'll double check that roll, but that makes the most sense to me that we're back to a D8 on the tension. So Xilia has busted through the room, but she created a huge commotion. So she is walking in the door, and right now she's shaky. And let's see a number of things. Let's do some narrative elements here. And after we populate, we see what kind of room we get. Let's see what the room looks like, feels like. Let's do all the fun narrative stuff. So first of all, what kind of room are we walking into? Ooh, that'll be 100, baby. Ooh, 100's a fun looking room. Also, hard to draw. So let's pull out our journal. So this is 100 here, and it looks something like you get a square to start. And I'm gonna hopefully do a final like pretty version of all this. These are just sketches to get me going because this is kind of wild. It's like a small corridor here kind of thing that then, oops, goes into this Tetris-y sort of like puzzle piece here. So it's like this very kind of actually largish room that really doesn't have, it has, I guess it has two exits, right? So it's got this door here, we'll call that door one here, and then we get to come over here, come something like this, and there's another door over here, and then this comes down to like here, and basically something like that. So Xilia has walked into this sort of big, open, but multifaceted room with two doors. So let's get her door situation going. So there's like one sort of way up here, and then there's a second door a little bit lower into the right. So she is walking on in through this room. So what's in this room? Let's take a look. So first of all, events or encounters would be nice to know, but let's first of all see what kind of room it is. So is that 69? I am the king of rolling 69. I think I did it last time too. Let's freaking go. 69. What should we got? The statues of weeping angels line this hall, their faces eternally frozen in grief. And you know what time it is. Story cubes. Angels. So here they're, obviously they're grieving faces, but what about their faces? What can we say? Why, like, what are they crying about, and what is the story behind their suffering? So narratively, I don't want to say that this lock means that the doors are locked, but let's just say this lock sign means specifically that these statues, although we can see them, they're sort of locked behind these like glass walls. We cannot approach them. We're not able to really go examine them. They're impossible to get to, whether that's you can picture a glass frame around them, or magical, sort of maybe magical elements which are keeping us from getting closer to examine. There's almost a magnetic force field as Xilia tries to approach these strange grieving statues of angels. She feels almost both drawn and repulsed at the same time. She wants to understand and empathize and learn more, but she's unable to, and she also feels this creeping sensation of both at the same time curiosity and I want to run the hell away. And this is a building sign. So these are massive. These statues are tall and towering. They're not small. They're not the size of a human. These are 90, 100-foot tall statues in this giant corridor of a room. As we rolled up, the room is massive. These are towering statues. And this looks like dynamite to me. So it seems to her that the grieving is over potentially what looks like the room is charred and burnt and burnt to things are burnt. There's papers scattered that are burnt to a crisp, and potentially old bodies are mangled and burnt bones and corpses. And it's almost as though the statues are weeping for the old city and the purity. These angels are weeping over the destruction of this burnt underground world, which it was a testament to, good versus evil, and evil has prevailed. What a cool Story Cubes session. Okay, well, that's it. That's Xilia's experience of this room. And then we just need to know if we got an encounter or an event for our next thing. And that's why am I blanking? That's a D20. Should be 50-50 in a room. So D20 is 10 or more. Oh, it's not. It's an event. So 1 is going to be an event, and so it's more narration. So let's go to the events table and roll up a D100. We got event 41. Things are flowing nicely between events and encounters. So 41 says, much to your surprise, you find an old man sitting inside this room. He seems to be a beggar that has probably fallen into Ker Nethalas by accident. Make a reason check. Okay, let's just make the reason check. Oh, we're only at a 10. I don't assume that this is going to go well for us. 81. Now what's interesting is we could use our lucky here. So let's hold off. So we did get the reason of 81, but our lucky in our domain, once per domain, we could get the best possible result. So if this ends up being really good, we could use our lucky on this scenario, on this event. Make a reason check. If you pass it, which we didn't, You would manage to give some indications to the man that will hopefully help him, and he thanks you by giving you something of value. Roll on the spoils table. If you fail, you didn't notice his strange behavior and the weird bulge on his chest. The man explodes in front of your eyes as a necropede bursts out of him and attacks you. Oh, so either we get to roll on the spoils table for free, or we have to deal with a necropede encounter. How fun was that one? I'm just curious what a necropede is. Here's a necropede. So it's an 8 out of 8 health. It's physical, magical damage. It's kind of taking us, by surprise here. And we did kind of need a rest and recover. I'm almost tempted to use our lucky and say we just get to roll on the spoils table here. It's not a terrible time for that, to be honest, because if we don't use lucky now, I guess it would be nice to use it on the spoils table itself. How hard is this fight going to be? He has 8 health, but we're quite strong. If we can really, deal with him. He deals bone slam, physical damage, magical damage. Our health isn't terrible. We have 14 toughness. He's not doing sanity damage. He's not a frightening creature. He's venomous and undead. I think we can handle him and potentially deal with a necropede battle on our following game. So let's go ahead and get that set up that he, this man here, perfect. We had this man, and out of his chest bursts the necropede. And on our follow-up session, we will see how Xilia deals with the necropede, and that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited to see what happens, but I think we will not use our lucky just yet. We are going to mark that we have an event. We had E41 that then turned into a necropede fight, and I'm okay with that because I think we can handle him, get more XP, so we can save our lucky roll for rolling on the spoils table instead of using it just to roll on the spoils table, if that makes sense, and avoid a battle. I don't mind a battle here. Especially one with the necropede that's not draining us of sanity. I think Xilia is quite well positioned to fight as long as her pylon doesn't end up in a freaking door or wall again. So anyway, that was a fun little mini sesh. I'm enjoying sort of the pacing of things. We are still making slow but steady progress towards finding our glacial burrower. Things are really fun and exciting. I enjoy both the balance of narrative and events with encounters and fighting. I think the Rotwalker fight was quite a fun one, despite some initial, I don't know if Xilia had not had her coffee yet for the day, but she was fighting like a chump, but she was blocking like a champ. That's going to be the title of this video. Fighting like a chump, but blocking like a champ. I love that. Okay, so until next time, until we figure out more about how Xilia fights with the necropede event, I hope you all have some happy gaming this weekend, and look forward to figuring out how Xilia does in her next battle.